Yo, we are back in the building to discuss Belle Collective. I think this is season 4, if I'm going by the technical definition, okay, of a new season. So, we're going to be discussing episode 1. It's called Correctile Dysfunction. And it really centers around Aikisha hosting a collective correction, which nobody can seem to get correct. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to break it all down. And we're going to talk about how the new season feels. We're going to get into all the details. But before we do that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button. Listen, we have about one more month for people to make their deposits for Thailand. We still have a couple of spots open. So go ahead and tap in. If you guys have questions, shoot me a message at bookings@DJRichieSkye.com and we can get all your questions answered. Thailand will be coming around in about 120 days. Literally. It's that close. So after y'all go vote, go on ahead and tap into the link down in the description down below so that you can register for this trip, okay? Because it's about to be lit. Now, I want to go ahead and get into the first thing that I want to talk about, which is this cast photo. I am so delighted that the network, the production company, whomever, okay, is putting in the work to promote this new season. Nothing thrills me more than a new cast photo. I feel like every time we start a new season of a show, we need to have new visuals to go along with it. Now, beyond the notion that fresh visuals kind of usher in a new era for the show, it also gives the ladies the appropriate promotional push for people to then promote the new images. It gives the ladies an opportunity to promote new images. And then on the functional side of things, for those of us out here who do reviews, it is helpful for us to have fresh images, specifically images that are pulled from the network that we can utilize in the creation of thumbnails, as well as posts on social media when we want to post about the show. It is really a technical aspect that I think that sometimes, I don't know if people really think about. So I'm happy to see that Belle Collective is getting the treatment that it deserves. Okay, that's number one. Now, the episode in and of itself, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. I enjoyed it. I felt like it really honestly felt like no time had passed, even though we have had quite a bit of a break. But I do feel like I felt like this show did a great job of picking up kind of where things left off, even though we do know some time has clearly passed between the reunion and when things picked up filming again. And we can't even dive into this episode really without talking about what has been done in terms of the story developing further with the inclusion of Selena. I feel like we manifested this. I think we fought long and hard for it. And I think it just makes me happy that I feel like the network, the production company, whomever heard our cries and decided to go ahead and really fully tell the story of Soguchi, aka Sophia, Selena, and JJ. Because guess what? For as much as we may enjoy Soguchi and JJ and the gosh god darn it's, at the end of the day, that story felt incomplete last season. It really did. And I get it. I get it. To a certain degree, it's kind of like you don't know until you know, right? You have the inclusion of Selena. There's this huge altercation. There is the pressing of charges or whatever happened. So then there's her inability to really film and how do we work around that, so then it becomes an interesting situation where is it going to work out well for us if we bring her into the mix, and how do we do that? So I'm glad they figured it out in some kind of way, because I do feel like her inclusion adds a shot of adrenaline, as well as I think it rounds out what Soguchi and JJ are actually experiencing, and it tells their full story, and it makes them all the more interesting for it. Now, the other thing that I would say is that for me, that's not a knock at Soguchi. What it is for me, I felt like the story that was being told last season was a bit inauthentic in terms of her beef with Latrice. The issue that it stemmed from seemed very, just because if you know real estate, you just kind of looking at the whole situation with a little bit of a side eye, because it's like, why would you be all that mad at that? I mean, for real, it's like, it won't no contract signed, so it's kind of, it is what it is. The bigger story, really, honestly, was Soguchi and dealing with JJ and this blended family, and how does that work? That's the more interesting story to me. Okay. Now, we also have to talk about two other things right off the bat. We're going to talk about the inclusion of Dr. Antoinette Lyles, who was on the first season of the show. She is brought back in a sort of stinger at the end of this particular episode. I was shocked that they had her inclusion so early in the season. We all knew that she was coming, but I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of geeked that they actually brought her back with kind of like this vengeance. You know what I'm saying? She's still mad at something Lateshia said 4 years ago. Now, in my mind, I'm kind of like, girl, it's been 4 years. Okay, you might want to let that go. But if you haven't really had the opportunity to clear your name, then it makes much more sense as to why she might be feeling the way she's feeling. And to be honest with you, like, I feel like she should be on the show. She's obviously a cute girl. I do feel like Latrice needed some additional allies on the show, because in at the end of last season, it felt like she didn't really have anybody on her side except for Tambra. And as much as I love Tambra, it takes a lot of it takes a lot for Tambra's time bomb to tick. Okay. And so she's not maybe always the best at, having Latrice's back in the way that I think we all might want to see it, right? I'm all about, like, because I've met these ladies, which is another reason why I feel so connected with this show. Met the ladies, met the guys, and so I feel like I really want this show to succeed. But I also got to do my due diligence and be honest about what I think it needs or what I feel like is going on. So, there's also, based on what we saw here in this episode, I watched it twice at this point, actually two and a half times. I kind of feel like we didn't really talk enough about this setup that Aikisha reveals during the collective correction collectibles. That she alleges. Let me put the alleged badge up here, y'all, because we about to get into some tea. Okay. She reveals that according to Latrice, okay, the allegation is that Glenn and Lateshia were gonna try to set up Aikisha's husband by having some random chick DM him, and I guess he was supposed to react to it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of shows, I think, around their second, third, fourth seasons fall into this trap. And we've seen it time and time again. And I know a lot of y'all been watching reality TV for as long as I have. You remember, if you really, really think about it, you remember these times when a show has done this. Somebody reaches deep down into the depths of lowness and tries to dig deep into somebody's past, have a meeting with somebody from 12 years ago, and then try to bring that to the show. It happened last year with Marie meeting the dude with Tambra. It didn't play out very well. It never does. And when the truth comes out, it always looks crazy. Now, I must note, to be fair, Lateshia has vehemently denied these accusations. So the issue is pretty much kind of squashed and it goes nowhere, but it still kind of shocked me all the same. And I think that was part of the problem that I felt like I had with last season. I felt like the beefs just felt so petty, and some of the actions that were being taken felt so low, or at least so out of character, I should say, for some of the characters that I do feel like don't need to do all that. You don't need to do you honestly don't need to do much to have a great show except for play the telephone game. That's what happens on these shows. So, and that's part of the issue that the ladies are actually having now. So, some of these issues do stem from telephone, which we're going to get to. But let's catch up with all the ladies first because we got to do the obligatory, catching up with everybody. We learned that Aikisha has indeed obtained a building on Fair Street, and they have a location for their new Bricks and Hops restaurant. Now, given that the show centered around Fair Street, and then also too, when we were able to go when we did our press visit in season what at the beginning of season 2, and we were able to really walk on Fair Street, that's a huge deal. And I love that this show focuses so much on that historic street. I think it brings so much energy to what could potentially be something that really is rebuilt. And I hope that they're able to do that. And shout out to Aikisha for being able to get it done. And shout out to Lateshia for getting the ball rolling. I mean, we got to acknowledge that. It's huge. It's huge. And I love that that has remained a staple on the show. And I hope that they continue to do that. So Gucci stops by to visit, and we learn that Gucci is upset because apparently there was a peace order hearing or something to that effect, and Latrice and Tambra showed up in defense of Selena. So Gucci is upset because she's not really shocked about Latrice, but she is shocked about Tambra, who told her that she was subpoenaed. Okay. Now, bear that in mind. That was what was stated. It was that Tambra was subpoenaed. All right. Now, Aikisha really wants to get everybody together because everybody is asked at the beginning of the episode, where is the collective? And most people feel like it's on life support, while Latrice feels like it's dead. Now, I know that a lot of people are probably going to feel a certain type of way about how Latrice kind of maneuvers through this episode. And I think it's also important to recognize that it was when they left off on this particular show, Letitia and Marie and Latrice were all about to get into a physical altercation. Marie basically told her she was going to beat the brakes off of her. Okay. And it was shocking to see Latrice and Letitia fall out in such a bad way. Because for me, I'm like, I like it. I like Letitia better when she is the centerpiece of pulling the ladies together. I do. And I feel like Aikisha could serve a similar role in this group. It kind of like I felt like last season I was a little let down because while I do like the drama, I also like the resolve. Um, so it'll be interesting to see if Letitia and Latrice can actually get back on a good foot because right now they are not. All right. Speaking of Letitia, we learned that she is, she got the things popping. I always see her online. She's booked and busy. But her and Glenn are not going to be doing their vow renewal, which is probably a good thing because I just feel like, there has been a lot of embarrassment on, for her in terms of how the relationship has played out on television. Okay. So I'm glad that they're taking the time to do the work and hopefully make it through. Although it sounds like there are some obstacles that are still lingering, and he's still having a hard time adjusting to her glow up. But she's on TV. It's bound to happen. You got to know that when these ladies get on TV, it's going to change their lives. And they should maximize on these things because it just creates more opportunities for the household. Now, We then go to Latrice, who is opening Taste. Shout out to like all these restaurants opening. Bricks and Hops, you got Taste. I mean, the food. I need to go back down to Mississippi just so I can experience this a food tour. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. I just had to don't play with it. Let me see how what I can do. Okay, let me get some people on the line to see what I can do about a little Food Jackson food tour. We could, oh my god, that would be so much fun. Anyway, I digress, and I'm hungry. So anyway, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, this is great, and I love that they brought in Selena with Latrice because obviously they were close last season. And I think it's good storyline wise for Selena to be involved in the restaurant because they made Selena a bar manager. So it I feel like relationships are better processed on reality TV when there's something to at stake. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, hopefully it goes well, Selena is in the mix with Latrice and they're tied together via this working relationship in addition to their friendship. We all know that this also creates tension, natural tension, which is what you want to see. Now, hopefully, it doesn't affect their friendship. Because on this show, Latrice gonna need you gonna need girl, you gonna need all the friends you can. Okay, so don't lose none. All right, don't lose none. Because and girl, I know they're gonna get you for that big back comment. Okay, they're gonna get you for that one. But nevertheless, Latrice, so Gucci, not Latrice and so Gucci, Latrice and Selena in the mix, in the building. They got the building, and kudos to them. I think that's huge. And again, that's one of the things I love about this show is we do see the accomplishment. We do see like this is one of those shows. I would say similar to Love and Marriage Huntsville, but we really do see the start and the process of these ladies doing these amazing things alongside their husbands. And even the ones that aren't married, we get to see some of that progress. We catch up with Marie. We learn that her cousins feel like she looks down on them, even though they are in her employ. Okay. So honestly, listen, now I don't know whether or not Marie looks down on them or not. Okay. But what I do know is if she didn't gave you a job, then for me, that tells me you just need to be thankful for her. Okay. I mean, listen, fake it till you make it. Okay, fake it until you get to where she is. And if she's putting you in position, that means that she could actually open up a door for you at any point in time to do more. You got to take advantage of that. And if you not taking advantage of that, then that is okay. Now, speaking of Marie, she is in remission with her lupus, and she is looking better than ever, honestly, in terms of like I think she feels like she's looking better than ever. I feel like she's carrying herself a little different. You know what I'm saying? Um, and she definitely looks different. I will say that. But I will let me tell you something about just seeing Marie in person in general. Um, and maybe it's because I'm 6'3", right? But she always looked tiny to when I saw and seeing these women in person, they're tiny. Like she's a tiny woman. So to I guess lose the additional weight, I feel like she's feeling and I mentioned this because she talks about it on the episode. So I'm only going on based on what she said in the episode. She's lost a lot of weight because she's not on the prednisone anymore, which is a steroid which would cause one to gain weight. So I know she's probably happy about that. Um, we do get into this notion about there being somebody else in her family who they make a reference to not wanting her around at a get together at a Ponderosa, but I don't know enough about this person to care. So, and we didn't get to see a photo of homegirl, nor was she in the scene. So until she's in the scene, I don't know. Okay, I don't know her. Harpo, I don't know her. Who is this woman? Who? Who is it? Okay, who is it? Who is it? It's B. No, I don't know who she is. So I'm just like, who is she? Can y'all put up a photo next time? Did she not get y'all clearance? What's going on? So we move on, and I think we have pretty much caught up with just about everybody. I mean, on a social level, in some way, shape, or form, except from really maybe Tambra. We do learn from for Tambra that she is back to the hosting and back on, doing her, her media rounds. Listen, y'all know I got to give it up to my girl and her hustle because I mean, basically, just occupying a similar space. I mean, I got to shout out. You know what I'm saying? But let's get to the ponderosa of it all and some technicalities, right? I don't know at this point in time if it was known that Selena was going to be a cast member or if she was just sort of filming at the beginning and testing it out. So she's not invited to this collective correction. And let me give the production company a couple of props here. Okay, a couple of props. I liked the way that y'all joked about this collective correction thing and nobody could get the name right. I was like, this is where you get creative editing and some fun editing, but that does not overshadow what's happening in the episode. We love a good edit. I'm going to let you guys know that now, but we don't want it to overshadow what is happening in the actual episode. And edits don't make up for lack of story. Okay? That is for any show. That's my word of advice. Okay. Um, and yes, I am a critic. How about that? So let's get into the collective correction of it all. Marie is not able to make it, so she ain't make the collectibles, but everybody else does, with the exception of Selena. Now, Dr. Antoinette Lyles has not made it to the screen yet at this point in the episode, so she's of course not a factor here. But Latrice and Tambra show up together because they know that they are usually in the line of fire. Okay. But the temperature feels a little different this season in terms of where the ladies are with how they feel about Latrice and Tambra, I think. Aikisha really wants to listen. Aikisha ain't got no reason to be upset or mad about anything at this point because she got these buildings, baby. So I mean, at this point, it's kind of like y'all fight amongst yourselves, baby. I didn't got Fair Street. Okay, how about that? So all the ladies show up, and I do feel like Lateshia came in with a spirit of, okay, I need to try to make this right with Latrice. You get the impression that she misses her relationship with Latrice, but in my mind, there are two ways to look at this, right? There's the reality of it, i.e., the real life of it, where, girl, you try to fight me at the reunion. If you feel that way about me, you should have called me or something, okay? And maybe the calls were actually made in real life. But then there's the television aspect of reality, right? Wherein these conversations typically need to happen on camera in order for the audience to feel like the story is being told in a way that feels continuous and that they're not missing anything. So it's kind of hard. And when that happens, though, I think for one person, they get it makes them more mad, okay? And I feel like that's what happens. That's what's happened with Latrice. She's more mad. I ain't even heard from you. You tried to fight me. You didn't insulted me. You didn't call me. All of these things. Whereas maybe for Lateshia, it's kind of like, okay, I've calmed down and I'm living kind of like, I don't really like how things went, and I want to make things right, but I also know I got to do it on the camera, so I probably need to wait. It's a tough situation to be in, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it when you look at it from the lens of like, okay, what's really happening, right? So we see when everybody gets to the event, Aikisha shows them her building where Bricks and Hops is going to be. And then they are ushered outside to the backyard where they do have a very nice setup. Let me tell you something, okay? Stacey Rouge, I love you, girl. But this is how you put on a small, intimate gathering with charcuterie, okay? If you are going to make a charcuterie board, get somebody to really do you a charcuterie board, Stacey. And I know you knew. Now I know we're talking about a whole different show, but this is why I'm bringing this up now, because you look at what Aikisha was able to do, okay? And she was able to get these girls together for a scene. Now, granted, it was in the back of the building, but At least the setup looked nice. It looked like the charcuterie board somebody put some thought into it. You know what I'm saying? She had the servers out there. Well, I don't know where she picked these people up at, but they was out there serving the drinks, the champagne. Now this is how you throw a small group event together. Okay, don't let me see no more paper plates with no a line of Ritz crackers or saltines and a couple of pieces of salami. No, okay, this is television. At least make us feel like it's extravagante. Okay, and if you can't do extravagante, then don't invite nobody over with the cameras. Feels so much better now that I've gotten that out of the way. We get down to business, okay? Aikisha wants to bring the girls together. Like, we got to get this thing right. I ain't got no issues. I'm reliving the rich life. And so y'all girls need to hash it out. Okay. Up first is Tambra and Soguchi. Now, earlier I told you that Tambra had allegedly told Soguchi that she was subpoenaed to be at the peace hearing. This time, on this part of the episode, Tambra tells her that she is a prominent figure. Okay. And the attorney is a prominent family friend. Okay. And when that family friend tells her to be someplace, she's gonna be there. Okay. And so Gucci's like, okay. But girl, that's not the same thing you just told me. Okay. You told me you were subpoenaed. Like you ain't had no choice but to be there. So what is the truth? That really is never really gotten to, because I think what Soguchi is, and I like that she's doing this season that I felt like she didn't do last season, especially with like Lateshia. I felt like she held on to the issue and just wouldn't let it go. And I feel like this time with Tambra, they are able to kind of get loud with each other, but I felt like with some coercion from some button pushing from Aikisha, they were able to wrangle it back in and agree that, hey, I felt like this. I'm sure that was a difficult position for you to be in, Tambra, because Aikisha points out, so Gucci, if you had told her, you needed to call her and tell her your issue, okay? And if you had called her and told her, she would have known, and it wouldn't have been left up to fester. Good point. The next people that need to have a conversation are really, there's an issue that Latrice has with Aikisha, and I think with Lateshia. Lateshia is very much on a listen. I am not trying to move backwards. I am just trying to move forwards, girl. I am just trying to make it right now. What we about to do? Because I'm not going backwards. Latrice is very much like, I don't trust y'all. I don't trust y'all hoes. Okay. Like, no girl. Like, y'all tried to fight me. Aikisha has something negative to say about my marriage. And now you want to act like you don't know what you said? No. Okay. Because she points out, y'all were talking about me, but my issue ain't had nothing to do with y'all. And Aikisha's like, well, to be fair, the conversation came up as a result of things that basically happened on camera, right? We're talking about the incident at the beginning of last season where a lot of people on social media had a lot of things to say about what they saw. And I think one of the things that Latrice probably also needs to realize is that a lot of the people were saying things out of concern for her, not to be disparaging to Cliff, but really out of concern for her well-being. Really. I think that's where it stemmed from. So I think that there's a world where she could give some grace for some of the reactions to the way that people saw those things play out on television, because at the end of the day, the idea is really that people are concerned. That's really it. That's the reality of it. And I think that if Latrice could feel safe enough, she would realize that. But I don't think that she feels that this group is a safe space, because Tambra makes that point. And Latrice says it too. Like, every time we leave, everybody gets on the phone and they talk about each other. And she also admits that she's part of the problem. So if that's the case, she also states that she will definitely say it to their face too. but I'm sure a lot of the women would. So how do you stop that? And then it comes up about Lateshia allegedly trying to set up, Aikisha's husband and like that type of stuff. That is the type of thing that will make people feel unsafe. So whomever did it, whomever started it, I really don't know because Lateshia has denied it. Let me just let this be a note of caution for the cast. If you do not want to go down the road of having such deep fractures and hatred building up within the cast itself, then you will not go backwards, digging deep, or like doing all of these little nasty things that ultimately end up feeling yucky and icky and gross to the audience because that's where we at like we see enough ill-mannered behavior, okay, on social media, in the news. We see so much of it. It's so triggering now. So no, I want to see some petty drama. I want to see some bickering and making up and breaking up, and if y'all happen to tussle at one point, get it back together after that, okay? Which is what we're going to need to see for Selena and Gucci to move forward. Now, the collectibles collectives, the collectors union, the collective session, it seems to go relatively well. They're able to all take photos together, and time will tell for Latrice because I think she's still really hurt about some of the way things went down last season, and I think that that's fair. But I also think that if you're willing to come back into this group, you're going to have to give these ladies a chance. That's how we have to start a new season. I try to start a new season that way as well. Okay, although I'm not personally affected by any of this. Um, so then we see Latrice going to visit Dr. Antoinette Lyles at the dentist. I mean, she is a breath of fresh air, I think. She has a cute little feisty energy about her, and you can really sort of see that that's like they're really, really like girlfriends. So, I think it's good for Latrice to have that level of camaraderie with someone on the show. It will be interesting to see what happens with Lateshia and Antoinette because Antoinette is really, I mean, ready to dig into Lateshia. And I just wonder how that's going to play out in the long run for Latrice. I am personally rooting for Latrice and Lateshia to get back together because I felt like they were like, to me, they kind of remind me I feel like every show typically has like two anchors, and I feel like they are the anchors for this show. Although I do feel like look, Aikisha has kind of is working her way into one of those spaces, especially based on this episode and how she was able to really kind of wrangle everybody together. So I don't know. I'm interested to see it. I'm ready for this season. I think it feels good to me. It feels like a good show to really sink my teeth into because I don't feel like the drama is so deep. I don't feel like the I don't feel like the energy around the show feels that deep. It doesn't feel toxic to me. I like it. Stay just like this so that we can all have fun with it and be pleased. Okay. So, with that being said, that's my thoughts on the new season of Belle Collective. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Listen, tap into the Thailand trip. If you guys saw any of the posts from Bali, trust and believe you will want to be on the Thailand trip. If especially you need to get away, you are tired of all of the election mania, although you need to be voting. But Thailand is going to be a great way to get away, and it's a very cost effective trip. It is super cost effective. So if you are interested in just resetting or you need a change, okay, whether you are going through a divorce, a career transition, trying to figure out the next thing you want to do in your life, um, I know I'm at that stage as well. Whether you just feel like you need a break, this is your opportunity to do so with a group of like minded people who are only interested in your well being and who want you to have a very good time. That is why we do these trips. We do them to grow in terms of a community of people who look like us. We do them to escape, the daily grind of our lives and explore and have these different adventures. And I like to call it like relax, relate, and maybe really okay. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. If you have questions, like I said, shoot me a message. But with that being said, I will catch you all, of course, in the next video.